One of the strongest things that me and Ronan wanted to do at the beginning is first erase the difference between home and office in the design language. Stop it.
At this time there was really two worlds. There was the world of work and the world at home.
Alcove made a full typology emerge everywhere.
In the office there is different need of protection.
This balance was very fundamental. Some time of openness and some time of closeness.
We created this small retreat in which you can have a nap or read a book.
You can privatize a little bit of public space if you wish.
It's interesting to look at it now after 15 years.
So a number of things moved. There is quite a couple of additions.
This cabin, you can link them together with paravent, so you can close a small group of desks.
Bringing some wheels so would kind of push a little bit this idea that at the end the space organization can be flexible.
You let people being free in their relationship with the furniture.
Vitra has some super high quality standard that give a certain confidence to everything. In short, Alcove is really like a room in a room.
The quality of life in the office, it's most important. And what is very clear in this Alcove solution is that it's really care about people. It's really a way to propose them a very soft, very gentle atmosphere to work. I think the most important thing for a designer is the question of empathy. Being humble enough to consider that you are a generalist working with specialists, of being able to understand quickly in different type of contexts in a craftsman studio, what to do with that and how to invent, how to modify a little bit things that generate extraordinary answer with basic possibility. Our work is very large in terms of subject, from electronic object to supercraft, from Kyoto to Seoul. There is so many type of project, large situation of technique, of material, again from object reproduced by million and other existing in one or two items or pieces. I think there is probably a certain type of proportion, of tension, atmosphere that you can feel in this different object with different scale, with different type of techniques that I just mentioned before. There is I hope, a certain delicacy, a certain empathy with the context, which is something very important. In French we will say juste. It means finding the good answer to the question, because for me a good project is something that is a good answer to solving a problem. Some years ago, probably 5 or 6, to ask us if we would be interested to work with them. And it was a period where we were extremely shy on the fact that we didn't want to have too many companies around us. And at the beginning we said no. One of my favorite designers, which is a friend, is Jasper Morrison. And we had a dinner and just said me that how happy he was to work with Ketal. And I know that Jasper is someone very difficult. Some months after, again, Ketal called the studio and I said, yes, I will be happy to meet you. Try to maintain a certain fragility, a certain tension in our work. So what does it mean? It means that we try to reinvent us every time. We try to not repeat ourselves. So a certain insecurity is in the center of the studio. Well, I think in the last century and the last decades, a lot of craftsmen ateliers disappeared. I think it's a very, very important part of the world, the fact that people in a small atelier, in a small context, continue to build objects, wooden chair, ceramic pot, tapestry. And for that, they need designer, because they need, of course, a new challenge. If we don't want that all these techniques disappear, we need to fit them with the context of today. And so as designer, I think it's important that you play your role. It's almost a political subject to maintain and to help to survive all these different people, possibility, technique. I hope the exhibition can give a certain idea of the atmosphere we try to find Because I consider that at the end, doing object in the city or for a room, it's like putting a tea bag in hot water. It gives a flower a sensibility, a direction, and a sensation of what we do.
I'm a product designer and I work with Ronan, my brother. We're in Paris in our studio where we present our first design for television we made with Samsung called Serif.
It's a TV which has a profile shape of eye, so there is a fit immediately integrated in it, and a sort of shelf on the top. You can imagine that you put things on it, so vase, books.
One of the key points was to move away from ultra-thin screen. There was no more language because the black flat screen is a black flat screen. So main of the motive was to make an object that sits properly, naturally in the world we live in.
Work on a different type of subject. We do, of course, a lot of furniture, but we do architecture, we do very small pieces like jewel, and we do projects that are quite enormous. My big fear is to repeat myself, that studio repeat itself.
We made a quite nice bag for the TV. We decided to cover it with a kind of fabric panel that has some magnets on it, so you can totally open, plug as much as you want, and then reclose it.
And then you've got 4 feet that you can fix on the medium and on the big TV that you just screw and connect under the TV.
We got total freedom for everything, so we pretty made everything. Remote control, we also made the interface, so at the end Serif is quite complete, outside, inside. A large part of the UI is depending on something we call the virtual curtain, the curtain mode, which is actually a treatment that we add on the live content. So it means that you can just shut down the live content like you would pull a curtain in front of a window.
I liked when there is patina on object, and it's more and more important for me the fact that an object that we design will be nicer in 10 years, nicer in 20 years. So here the idea was to do something that was really designed to be beautiful in the future. So one of the interesting aspects of the Stampa chair is the fact of this very, very small grid of dots, grid of hole. It creates a sort of very delicate surface which works very well with a view or with a landscape, because there is transparency, there is air, and you can see through the chair. And another aspect of this grid is it generates a very interesting shadow. In the Stampa chair, it's quite evolve in terms of technique. The project is just at the limit of things, that we use the exact minimum quantity of aluminium, we use a minimum section of feet, but the transformation of the feet, the press of the back, all this small detail gives the power and the strongness of it.
During a soccer game, there would be the advertisement and you just wanted to shade it for a while, it disappeared. When I was a kid, I was fascinated by indie music, and I still think that a lot of large companies need to work with a small independent company like we are. Me and Ronan, we learned that when you go in a new field, you can really open different doors. On the one hand, you can really be naive and make a mistake a child would do, while on the other end, your ability to go beyond the usual borders is much stronger.